Hey doing everyone, welcome back. Well, Donald Trump is at it again. I've done a couple of videos on this already, and I'm going to do another one right now. The Medal of Honor versus the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The Medal of Honor versus the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The Presidential Medal of Freedom is not the civilian equivalent of the Medal of Honor. There is no equivalent to the Medal of Honor. There is not. Let's take a look at who has been awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Let's start with the people that Donald Trump awarded it to. Now, these are all going to be incomplete lists for each president because I'd be here all night if I was listing everyone. And I'm only doing presidents from the 21st century. All right? So, Trump awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Elvis Presley, Babe Ruth, Antonin Scalia, Roger Staubach, Art Laffer, Mariano Rivera, Tiger Woods. Now, as an Iowan myself, I can actually kind of appreciate that he gave it to Dan Gable, but he also gave it to Rush Limbaugh and Congressman Jim Jordan, the guy who's been in Congress for like 16 years and hasn't done a damn thing, hasn't sponsored a single bill the entire time that he's been in Congress. Those are the people that Donald Trump awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom to. Now, keep in mind, that's not a complete list. It is not. Okay? And in fact, you can actually Google Presidential Medal of Freedom recipients, and it will give you a complete list. Okay? Who did Joe Biden award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to? Well, let's start with Air Force Brigadier General and the first woman to deploy with a bomber unit, Wilma Vogt. Or Vaught, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. V-A-U-G-H-T. Who else? Simone Biles, John McCain, Denzel Washington, Elizabeth Dole, Phil Donahue, Medgar Evers, Nancy Pelosi. Now, there are some of those individuals I like and some I don't, and same with Trump's list. Some individuals on both of these lists that I like and don't like. But there are some that I can't quite justify giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom to. But then again, that can be awarded by any president at any time to any person. What about Obama? Who did he award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to? Now, a lot of these names are going to make a lot more sense. Stephen Hawking, Jack Kemp, Harvey Milk, Sandra Day O'Connor, Sidney Poitier, Maya Angelou, George H.W. Bush, Loretta Lynn, Sally Ride, Yogi Berra. Most of those names make sense. What about his predecessor, George W. Bush? Anthony Fauci. Yeah, long before we were told to hate Anthony Fauci, George W. Bush gave him the Medal of Freedom. Ben Carson, B.B. King, Frank Robinson, Paul Harvey, Andy Griffith, Aretha Franklin, Muhammad Ali, Tommy Franks, General Tommy Franks, that is, Roberto Clemente, Nancy Reagan, Hank Aaron. I'd say a lot of those are deserving of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. There's some I don't understand why they're on there. But you know what? It is what it is. Those are the types of people who had received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Now, if I were to go through Medal of Honor recipients and what they did to earn the Medal of Honor, I would never do anything else on this channel because there's that much content. Let's go with just World War II, shall we? Just World War II. And I hope you Google each and every single one of these names, because you want to talk about people deserving of an award, people who have earned an award. Let's start with Staff Sergeant Lucien Adams. Again, this is an incomplete list. An incomplete list from World War II. These are just a few that stood out to me that I think you should look up. Staff Sergeant Lucien Adams. Second Lieutenant Vernon Baker. Technical Sergeant Van Barfoot. Master Sergeant Vito Bertoldo. First Lieutenant George Cannon. Private Pedro Cano. Second Lieutenant Dale Christensen. Corporal Anthony D'Amato. Corporal James Day. Private First Class Desmond Doss. Commander Ernest Evans. First Lieutenant John Fox. Private First Class David Gonzalez. Staff Sergeant Freeman Horner. Private First Class William Johnston. Technical Sergeant, and forgive me if I get this name wrong, Yaike Kobashigawa. Another name that I may very well get wrong, Private First Class Kaoru Moto. This is an important one to me. Second Lieutenant Audie Murphy. Audie Murphy. Definitely look up his story. In fact, he starred in a movie about his story, became an actor after the war. To Hell and Back, perhaps you've heard of it. If you haven't, go check it out. Commander Richard O'Kane. Lieutenant Arthur Preston. Private First Class John Reese Jr. and Captain Francis Wai. Now, some of those were Asian Americans who had to wait decades. I believe it was 2000, 2001, somewhere around then, when they finally received the Medal of Honor that they earned. There are some of those who were Black Americans who had to wait until 1993 to be awarded the Medal of Honor that they earned in the 1940s. So, yeah, we discriminated against some of those even after they came back. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the names on the Presidential Medal of Freedom list, Medgar Evers is one that stands out to me of the ones that were awarded in this century. Medgar Evers is a big one. Yeah, civil rights leaders. Oh, I get it. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, some people use their art forms or their their platforms as athletes in sports to push this country forward. I'm assuming that Jackie Robinson received the Medal of Freedom. I think he did. I don't know which president would have awarded that. I didn't look that far back. But yeah, I mean, he was another one. He was discriminated against both in the Army and when he got back. And even as a Major League Baseball player. You know, so I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anybody who has received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In fact, many of them are very important people in American history. Some of them are actually not even Americans. Mariano Rivera was one of them. I think that's one that Trump awarded. I don't remember. Obama gave one to Yogi Berra. You know, Supreme Court justices getting the Medal of Freedom. All right, I get it. Different political figures. I mean, Nancy Pelosi being the first female Speaker of the House, whatever you think of her politics. I mean, that's an accomplishment. But don't ever, ever compare the Presidential Medal of Freedom to the Medal of Honor. Like I said, those names that I listed off, that's just World War II. Look up some of their stories. Then you know what? While you're at it, look up some of the other Medal of Honor recipients. You know, the ones from this century. Look up World War I, Vietnam. Read their stories. And then tell me it's the same as somebody who played golf or could throw a baseball or kick a football or whatever. I'll catch you next time.